Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Natural herbal shampoo made with organic oils for an exhilarating fragrance. Enjoy all natural and chemical-free shampoo for a healthier you. Gentle enough for color-treated hair and sensitive scalps. Only pure, organic, antiseptic herbs that have demonstrated antimicrobial activity are used. Go natural. Go organic. No parabens or sulfates. Nothing to weigh you down. Get cleaner, healthier hair with Emmerich Essentials Tea Tree Shampoo.
Leading up front.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. Today is Wednesday, May 31st, 2017. I'm Millie Weaver, and here's what's coming up on the news tonight.
Tonight, in the demise of the Democrat saga, the backlash for the despicable Kathy Griffin display has taken a bad turn for CNN and the left, as she is now out at the Clinton News Network. Also, a massive bombing takes place in Afghanistan, killing journalists, as the violence in the Middle East continues to ravage the people in that region. Meanwhile, Robert De Niro has completely cashed in. He doesn't even try to act anymore. He just reads off scripts. Most recently, an unemotional appeal to college graduates to hate President Donald Trump. And then, the mayor of New York City has had a bad week. But not if you ask him. Apparently, hanging around pedophiles and terrorists is not something Mayor de Blasio thinks is bad for his image. All that and more tonight on the Infowars Nightly News.
During this Memorial Day, I want to thank the veterans that have fought, but of course, most importantly, those that have died, because that's what this holiday and remembrance is all about. Take advantage of these unprecedented specials and help support the tip of the spear in the fight against the globalists while supplies last. These are the biggest sales ever on these items. You add auto ship, several of these are lost leaders. So for myself and the entire Infowars crew, I salute you and thank you for all your prayers on this Memorial Day. Just understand that without you, there'd be nothing, because you are the Infowar.
This is the Infowars Power Pack, and it can start your car if it has a dead battery. And now we're going to use the Power Pack to jumpstart this truck, and we're going to show you. Switch on the Power Pack. Wait a few minutes, and then you'll be able to start your car. With just a few minutes on the Infowars Battery Pack, you go from a dead battery to this. You get all that cranking power in this little brick. The Infowars Power Pack is a must-have, and it'll give you peace of mind whether you're at home or on the go. It's so compact, it'll fit in your backpack, your glove box, or even your back pocket. Get one for your home, boat, car, camping setup, or just for emergencies. Secure your peace of mind today and order your Infowars Power Pack from InfoWarsStore.com or dial 1-888-253-3139.
I'm Millie Weaver, and I will be taking you guys through the news tonight, tomorrow night, and the next night, because right now, as we speak, Owen Schroyer and David Knight are heading out to Chantilly, Virginia, to provide special coverage of the Bilderberg Conference. So that should be really exciting, and we will be providing you guys with those updates and that coverage all throughout the next couple days. But before we go into that, I wanted to talk about the $200,000 in cash prizes that Infowars is offering up in this contest. It's a contest to expose the terrorist media and Kathy Griffin. Well, many of you guys have probably heard by now about the horrible blunder that Kathy Griffin committed with this atrocious photo shoot where she was holding a head of Donald Trump's, a bloody fake head of Donald Trump's, which was absolutely distasteful and horrific. But, you know, this contest is offering up thousands of dollars in prizes, and all you have to do is either print out from the images on the site that's provided that talks about how the mainstream media are terrorist organizations and Kathy Griffin looks like an ISIS member right there. Or you could even get the new Infowars shirt, CNN terrorist shirt at the Infowars store. And if you are caught on the news or on television wearing this shirt, you can win thousands of dollars in cash prizes. And it even ups when you say Infowars.com on the air. And this is all to expose the mainstream media and the condoning of violence and intolerance against people with different points of views in them. I mean, we're talking $1,000 for anyone who is seen wearing a shirt or with a sign that says CNN is ISIS, or $2,500 in prizes for anyone who both is seen with CNN is ISIS as a sign or a shirt and that they say Infowars.com. Well, let's go into some of the details on this Kathy Griffin story as it's been evolving all throughout the day. Now, what's interesting is the CNN analysts were quick to go on and try to downplay this horrible blunder on Kathy Griffin's part. And I wanted to roll to this clip because it's amazing how they say, oh, well, we don't really have time to talk about, you know, this type of situation or who really cares. Whereas, you know, they have time to sit there and talk about anything under the moon that Donald Trump may have done wrong. So let's go ahead and roll to this clip.
Here. And I want to warn you out there, especially if you have kids, you might find what we're about to show you a little bit graphic. It's not an actual photograph, but let's show it to you now. It's a depiction of comedian Kathy Griffin, who does work for CNN on New Year's Eve. She's pictured in this new photo shoot holding a bloody Donald Trump head. It's pretty disgusting, and I can't imagine how anybody would think that's appropriate. Donald Trump Jr. is out there saying this is now considered to be acceptable discourse by the left, Molly.
Who is saying it's acceptable discourse? Exactly.
Don Trump Jr. said that.
Who is saying it's even discourse? I mean, I have a hard time bringing myself to care about something like this. I think it just speaks to the need to see themselves as a victim that they have, that they're constantly being persecuted. It's constantly
the Trumps you're talking about.
The Trump people are constantly having to point to the elites who are looking down on them. Of course, like comedians and celebrities say dumb stuff and do dumb stuff, and violence is not appropriate. But I just don't think that that's the source of President Trump's problems.
Dave?
Yeah, who cares that Kathy Griffin is holding a beheaded mock of the president of the United States head as though she beheaded him in an ISIS-like jihadist murder? Well, you know, CNN's Mika Brzezinski then declared that they would cover a typo that Trump made on Twitter, and they would even bring on Nicholas Confessor to help break down the word, the misspelling, a linguist, so they can spend all day criticizing Trump. But you know, who really cares that, you know, Kathy Griffin talked about that? And they totally downplayed this when Melania Trump even took to Twitter and talked about how her son, Barron Trump, actually believed that it was his dad. He didn't know. He's an 11-year-old boy. He thought, wow, oh my gosh, mommy, mommy, and started screaming because he saw this head that he didn't know whether or not it was his dad. And that had to be very traumatic for a child. And so inevitably, ADT and other advertisers then subsequently pulled their advertising from CNN because they said, this is not what we stand for. It's grotesque. It's disgusting. Advertisers started pulling out. And then, you know, at first, CNN was kind of trying to brush it off. They said, we'll evaluate whether or not We're going to do something about this. We're going to evaluate whether or not Kathy Griffin is still going to participate in our New Year's Eve coverage at this point. But it was so bad that even other advertisers pulled out with their ad campaigns, which they had Kathy Griffin in. It was even the Squatty Potty made a statement saying how they no longer were going to air an ad that Kathy Griffin had participated in with them. So subsequently now, CNN has fired Kathy Griffin. So finally, after advertisers are being pulled, CNN has been forced to fire Kathy Griffin. Now, some of the CNN hosts and reporters did come out and say that it was grotesque. It's not in line with their beliefs. So they did start condoning it, or saying that they didn't like it. But I mean, overall, they did say it was disgusting and offensive. So there's a little victory right there. CNN's host Fareed Zakaria actually came out and did a pretty amazing little lecture or speech. I guess you would say it's an opinion point. And he actually talked about how the leftists, the intolerance that's coming from the left is completely getting out of hand. And I feel like it's a way to kind of reel in this insane intolerance where you have people thinking it's okay to beat people and terrorize people that have a different belief than them. So this was actually pretty shocking to see this coming out of CNN, and it's definitely a must watch. It's pretty interesting how he's just kind of calling out the left and saying freedom of speech and thought are not just for warm and fuzzy ideas. They're for even the ideas and things that sometimes might make us uncomfortable. But that is what keeps it free. That's what keeps and protects our right for freedom of speech. Now, this next story where Tucker Carlson actually interviewed the suspected bike lock attacker's attorney. I mean, he completely destroyed and ran circles around this attorney. And this attorney's name is Dan Siegel. So before this interview, though, this attorney had appeared at a court hearing on behalf of his client, this professor who's the suspected bike lock attacker. And he got trolled pretty hard by a man who went out there holding a keg flag. And he actually told the media that it was a KKK flag. And then they even told him, no, it's not a KKK flag. But then 4 days later, he still went on the air with Tucker Carlson and said that people were out there holding KKK flags. So let's go ahead and cut to this clip because it is pretty funny to see this guy get totally trolled.
Yeah, that should be. I mean, if anything, brain damage at the very least. Yeah, that's deadly.
What is this?
Oh, it's a flag of native Kekistan.
Kekistan?
Yeah, Kekistan. Look it up. Google.
What is that?
It's in all of us.
All of them.
Yeah.
Long story.
All right, so we just try to explain Kekistan to a normie. It doesn't work too well. So yeah, I'm wearing my Kekistan flag if you want to see what it looks like. It's basically, I have it connected to a nice strap, so I don't have to wear it. Just showing all the normies what it is out here.
This is the man that they're saying is a KKK member holding a KKK flag.
Who came to Berkeley, members of right-wing organizations, hate groups, people who fly the KKK flag as they did outside of the courthouse this morning to stir things up. And,
really? That was a Kekistan flag? I got trolled. There's my flag too, from an Asian guy.
Do I look like the member of the KKK?
I don't know, are you?
Yeah, he doesn't know if this man is KKK, this Latino man.
Told us we were part of the KKK.
Look at all the diversity.
You have no right to throw that around.
Look at the KKK, guys. Look at this is all of it.
Yeah, this is the KKK. The guy, what they're saying are the KKK. Looks like just regular people. Unbelievable.
You didn't see a KKK thing out there. No, you saw a KKK. This is what happens. You think you can just shut normal, average human...
What is that flag?
Obviously, you don't know what you're going to say. It's called KKK. We're just parents.
What is it?
Praise Keck.
You guys are sign up.
Pepe.
What I'm saying right now is we're not part of the KKK. We're just average citizens here. And you just come out here and start throwing these racial slurs around. It's ridiculous. And we're not going to be quiet anymore. We're done. We're taking back our country and getting back our free speech. And we're going to be at every one of his hearings. We're going to be there when he gets sentenced.
I think there was a lot of anger at the demonstration on April 15. These alt-right people were using Nazi and KKK salutes, waving a flag that has Nazi and KKK symbols on it. People didn't like that. They was yelling back and forth. What happened beyond that, I think, needs to be proven in court.
Fantastic.
When will these ultra serious leftists realize that the Keck, flag that they're saying is a KKK flag? This Keck flag has nothing to do with the KKK and is not a symbol of racism. And if you, in fact, have fallen victim to believing that it is, well, you're just the victim of being trolled, because that's exactly what they want you to think. So in other news, now this is actually a little bit more infuriating here. Migrants were caught stealing flowers and stuffed toys from the Manchester bombing site's memorial. Now, people had put out these flowers, these teddy bears, to pay respect and to memorialize the fact that people were killed. Many children were killed in this Manchester bombing. And these migrants were out there and they were just taking them. They didn't even think twice about taking them. And I don't know if this is just because they didn't know what it was, but it was pretty obvious. It was pretty apparent that this was a memorial for that attack. So, I mean, that just goes to show more of the cultural clash that we're seeing. A Manchester man got very offended and angry and told them to put it back. They did put the stuffed toys and the flowers back. So yeah, it's just more to show the cultural clash. And 4 BBC workers were actually seriously injured, and their driver, who was an Afghan driver, they were killed in a massive Afghanistan suicide bombing. So these bombings are still going on in the Middle East. Do we really want to bring more refugees from the Middle East over to these European countries, to America, to the UK, when these attacks are happening, and all we're seeing now is that they are being brought here? Well, last, I wanted to touch on Bilderberg and the fact that we have Owen Schroyer and David Knight going out there along with some of our cameramen to provide special coverage of Bilderberg. That's right, the meeting, the conference where these globalists all come together and meet in secret, and they have confidentiality agreements to ensure that everybody there is going to keep it under wraps, keep their discussions under wraps. This is going down in Chantilly, Virginia, between June 1st and June 4th, and we will be providing coverage of that. Now, there were some concerning people that are attending this event. It actually says some of the notable U.S. attendees are Trump administration National Security Advisor General H.R. McMaster. I mean, that's a little concerning. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton, tech billionaire Peter Thiel, and even ex-CIA Director David Petraeus. I mean, this is going to be really crazy. And their agendas that they have. I mean, we have the Trump administration progress report, transatlantic relations, transatlantic defense alliance, even why is populism growing? The war on information. They should have just said, we're going to be talking about how we can take down Infowars, because that's exactly what it sounds like. They're talking about Russia in the international order. I mean, this is going to be crazy, guys, and we will be putting this on for you guys, so keep in tune. We will be updating you.
During this Memorial Day, I want to thank the veterans that have fought, but of course, most importantly, those that have died, because that's what this holiday and remembrance is all about. Is those that made the ultimate sacrifice for the belief they were building a better world. Didn't mean every war was good. Didn't mean they didn't get conned. Didn't mean they didn't get used. But I'm here to tell you, they were at least people that were willing to stand up for something. And that's worlds apart from so many of the trendies and globalist wannabes and minions of the establishment that want to take the easy road. Take advantage of these unprecedented specials and help support the tip of the spear in the fight against the globalists while supplies last. Our highest quality, name brand, silver bullet that we private label is already the highest quality and lowest price of what we sell it at. And I've never offered it as a loss leader like I'm about to do at 65% off retail right through next Tuesday. Super Male Vitality's been sold out for months, our #1 best-selling product. I normally just give 25% off. We are doing 30% off Super Male Vitality out of the gates through next Tuesday. Survival Shield, high quality, true nascent iodine, deep earth crystal source, has been sold out. We never offer it at 40% off. It's offered at 40% off for a limited time to, again, celebrate our patriots and celebrate those that died in the service of this great republic. Brain Force, now with 20% more in each bottle, is 47% off. We've, again, never offered it at that. It's a bestseller. It's been sold out. Why am I discounting it? Because I know it's a tough economy out there. I know the globalists have been trying to stop the Trump recovery. And I know this is a powerful product. And so if you try it, I think you're going to continue to want to buy it. Especially if you sign up for auto ship, that's an additional 10% off. When you add that in to 65% off Silver Bullet, it is a loss leader then for sure. You add that to the 30% off Super Male, that's 40% off. You add that to Survival Shield at 40%, that's 50% off. You add that to Brain Force at 47, that's 57% off. You add that to Secret 12 at 43%, our vitamin B12 methylcobalamin, that is 53%. Knockout is at 50%, our Sleep Aid, that's 60%. We've never offered it at that. And all Infowars Trump shirts are 75% off retail as well to get the word out. These are the biggest sales ever on these items. You add auto ship, several of these are lost leaders. So for myself and the entire Infowars crew, I salute you and thank you for all your prayers and all your support on this Memorial Day. Hope everybody has a safe weekend coming up. We are at that crossroads. Today we call it bone broth, and for thousands of years our ancestors enjoyed its benefits before it became lost to our modern diets of processed junk. We are now introducing Caveman by InfoWarsLive.com, the ultimate in true paleo nutrition with bone broth, turmeric root, chaga mushroom, and 7 total primal superfoods in a single great tasting formula. Caveman. It's those people living in the wilds having to actually build civilization that are our superior ancestors, and we do everything we can to recapture that. Everyone knew that you used all the parts of the animal. You used the meat for sustenance, the fat for cooking, but you used the bones for strength. From the outside structure full of minerals and key cofactors to the marrow that produces the blood for the body, this is the engine of the life essence. I'm a long way from the caveman my ancestors were, but I'm sure as hell trying to get back to that essence that made us what we were, and this is a big part of it. I know you're going to want to check out Caveman Ultimate Paleo Formula for yourself at InfoWarsLive.com today.
In the Afghan capital of Kabul, we've had at least 83 people killed in a massive car bomb attack. This was in the diplomatic area, a highly secured area of the Afghan capital. 460 injured. And you know, as this happened last night, I was watching War Machine, an excellent satire that's based on Michael Hastings' investigations in Afghanistan. He was there with General McChrystal. But it shows as a satire the absurdity of this situation. Understand that on Monday, June the 5th, this coming Monday, we will have had a 14th anniversary of George Bush's mission accomplished photo op. It looks like we're going to be there forever. And of course, the military was clear a few years ago telling us that we're going to be there for at least another 20 years. I don't know that we'll ever get out of that place, but you should see that video, that movie. It's quite funny, a great satire, and it really makes you think, if you haven't thought about it already, our eternal commitment to these foreign policy entanglements. Now, we may not be able to get out of Afghanistan, but it's looking now as if we may be able to get out of the Paris Climate Accord. Some people are calling it Clegxit. Exiting the climate accord. And of course, talk about this is really getting the globalists, especially Angela Merkel, very upset, as well as mainstream media. Reuters is saying talk of Trump pullout alarms backers of Paris Climate Accord. And that would be pretty much most of the globalist developed world. They say reports that Trump is about to quit the accord drew calls on Wednesday from other countries to rally around the climate pact. Trump will follow through on his campaign pledge. Let's underscore that. His campaign pledge. That's what he said he was going to do. That's what we voted for. I'm very heartened to see him finally doing this. So he's had a lot of resistance from some of the snakes that he put in the cabinet who are saying, don't pull out of this. We're going to take a look at what this is truly about, folks. This is about global control of our economy. When they take control of the energy, when they ration our energy, they will be rationing our economy. They'll be controlling our economy. They will be controlling the quality of our life and our life expectancy. Many people say, this is for the poor countries. And we'll talk to you about how they're going to, as part of this Paris Climate Accord, if it goes through, how there would be a massive transfer of wealth to poor countries. That's the way it's being sold. Actually, the money is going to be transferred to a few banks and a few well-connected corporations and individuals. But we'll look at that in just a moment. Donald Trump said, I will be announcing my decision on the Paris Accord over the next few days. That's what he tweeted out. And then, of course, you have Reuters putting out things like this graph here. Take a look at this. Temperatures rising. They're pushing back very hard. Not a disinterested news media. No, Reuters is not disinterested, not any more disinterested than CNN. Yes, they have an agenda. They want to push this climate accord. There's a lot of money to be had in this. And so they show rising temperatures from 1910. And of course, the question is, they don't answer, what's their source of these climate measurements? What was the method that they used to get these climate measurements? Where did they put the thermometers in 1910 versus now? What is the tolerance of their readings, and so forth and so on? We're not going to really talk about the science of climate change. We're going to talk about the politics of this. Then, of course, one of the people coming out illustrating the absurdity of this is Elon Musk, because this is truly about crony capitalism. As I said before, the transfer of a massive amount of wealth from all of us in the developed countries, the middle class, to a few connected individuals and corporations like Elon Musk. He says he will leave the White House councils if Trump quits the Paris climate deal. Now, he's in a couple of White House councils on economic issues, and he threatens to leave. Please go. Please go. Will he pull out of the crony capitalist subsidies that he has? That's the true question. And about a year ago, we had we covered this at the time, that the fact that Elon Musk is the crony capitalist king. From May 5th last year, ericpetersautos.com, and he points out the problem with Tesla cars is that they haven't ever made any money. They're heavily subsidized. The manufacturer is heavily subsidized. The sale is heavily subsidized by the taxpayer rather than the buyer. And he points out that Tesla got $1.3 billion in crony capitalist incentives from the state of Nevada to build his battery factory there. He's going to be exempt from paying any property taxes for the next 20 years, an inducement of another $195 million in transfer tax credits, which he can sell for cash. He also got a $15 million from the state of California. But here's the issue, folks. He makes money not by selling cars, but by selling carbon credits. If you buy a real car or anything that has an internal combustion engine in it, you will pay more for that car, and he will get subsidized by that, as well as his buyers getting subsidized when they buy that car. And as Eric Peters points out, Tesla could not build a single car without the government's help. Take away the help, and the annual cost would be prohibited. Virtually no one, except perhaps a few fellow billionaires like Elon Musk, would be able to afford one of his cars. And yet the typical Tesla buyer has an income of over $250,000. This is the essence of what this climate treaty is. It's why we need to get out of it. These people and the poor and the middle class are subsidizing this climate fantasy. At the same time, just as I pointed out last week, a farmer being hit with a $2.8 million fine because he plowed his own field. So you're not going to be allowed to work. The EPA and these environmentalists are going to shut this down. They're going to make you pay these carbon credits. And understand, they're like the indulgences of the Middle Ages. It's a sin tax. You have to pay them for the privilege of using energy. And that is the essence of not only our economy, but as I pointed out before, quality of life, our life expectancy. Now, what do we have here with the Paris Climate Treaty? It's not a treaty, it's an agreement. It never got ratified. And that's very important because we go back to last August and we saw Obama's White House defending the idea that he was going to ignore the Senate. They're going to call this a Paris climate deal, an agreement, even calling it a treaty, and yet he never went to the Senate for ratification. The White House defended Obama's decision to enter the Paris Climate Accord without ratification. They said, this is going to be an executive agreement. White House senior advisor at the time, Brian Deese, said the president had legal authority to ratify the accord without the 2/3 Senate vote required for treaty. So they say, well, we're going to ratify this, but we're not going to call it a treaty. We'll call it an agreement. And we're going to do it by executive order, but we're still going to say that it's ratified. Do you see the multiple levels of lies going on here? This was never ratified, but we have to get out of it because as they're looking at this, they're telling everybody that the Paris Agreement is legally binding under the 1992 UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. They say it uses the critical language, quote, entry in force, so that countries consent to be bound by it under international law. This is a legally binding document, but then this is the key thing, subject to ratification. But remember, I just read to you that Obama said he was ratifying it with his own signature as an executive order. And then, of course, the essence of this is the same kind of carbon trading, except on a global level that we just saw with Elon Musk. This is how the New World Order, the one world government, will make itself wealthier and will exercise control over our economies. It's as important to get out of this as it was to get out of the TPP. And of course, Donald Trump did that on day one. It's been very concerning to many of us that he took this long to get out of the Paris Climate Accord. Hopefully, he's not going to go wobbly on this. And this is where you as Trump supporters need to support him. As I tweeted out earlier today, the Trump train needs to encourage him and to support him to do what he ran on, to do what he won on. Meanwhile, this is the kind of opposition he's getting. As we see from The Guardian, Paris climate deal exasperated the world leaders at the recent G7 meeting that he just left. And of course, there you can see Angela Merkel. She thinks that Trump is getting out. They say the final G7 communique saw the U.S. unusually break with the other 6 nations by failing to commit itself to the Paris Agreement. And this is what Merkel said. She said, the whole discussion about climate has been difficult, or rather very unsatisfactory. Here we have the situation, 6 members, or even 7 if you want to add the EU, stand against 1. Meanwhile, we have them saying this threatens the U.S. security, it threatens our U.S. economy, it threatens our society. This is from the UN Secretary General. Yes, it does threaten all those things if we stay in it. You have to understand, coming down in just a few years, there's going to be a floor of $100 billion a year being transferred from our countries to other countries, but it's going to go to just a few billionaires like Elon Musk. We have to get out of it. You have to support Trump. Tell him to get out now.
Electrify your day with Secret 12. It's like lightning in a bottle. We all have days in which we just can't seem to perform at the level we'd like to. Infowars Live Secret 12 is designed to naturally energize your body and mind with 2 great tasting and super high quality forms of vitamin B12. Proper vitamin and nutrient intake is essential to keep your body functioning at optimum levels. The reality is, it's hard to take in the proper amount of vitamins we need each day with our modern diets. Secret 12 by Infowars Live is an easy way to naturally upgrade your vitamin B12 intake and support your body's natural systems. It pairs 2 forms of vitamin B12 into one explosive formula. Vitamin B12 supports healthy energy levels through red blood cell formation and aiding in the body's natural processes, but it also assists with many other functions of the body. Electrify your mind and body and take your health to the next level. Experience the power of Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to secure your canister. We have worked for years with our chemists and scientists to create the most powerful and affordable, great-tasting multivitamin formula available. Vitamin Mineral Fusion Drink Mix at InfoWarsLife.com is loaded with a full month's supply of essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body absolutely needs. In the history of InfoWars Life, we've brought out a lot of amazing products like Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality, and so many others. With its unique delivery system and proprietary manufacturing process designed for maximized effects, this formula is the platinum standard of multivitamin mineral products. And this part is most important. The ingredients in Vitamin Mineral Fusion are either plant-derived or of the highest quality lab standard. That means it's clean. That means it's pure. And rest assured, you're fighting the tip of the spear in the info war. That's InfoWarsLife.com and Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Take action now before we sell out. We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently, we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
InfoWarsLife.com, and the profit we make, we fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Robert De Niro is a complete idiot.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, you little Speaking to a class of students, De Niro put the current state of the U.S. in movie terms.
When you started school, the country was an inspiring, uplifting drama. You're graduating into a tragic, dumb comedy.
A tragic, dumb comedy.
A tragic, dumb comedy.
That's kind of ironic because tragic, dumb comedy describes almost every movie De Niro has been in for the past 20 years. Seriously, I heard De Niro say tragic, dumb comedy, and I thought he had a new Meet the Fockers movie coming out. De Niro has been in more crappy films than the number of times people have imagined my shock. Dirty Grandpa. Like a Werther's original dropped down a sewer drain, Dirty Grandpa represents the careless fumbling of a classic talent that once brought pleasure to millions. The emphasis there being on once. Analyze that. Yeah, I've analysed your recent filmography, and it's the most depressing list since Schindler's. Hey, De Niro, given that you haven't been in a good movie since the 90s, rather than subjecting us to your tawdry, predictable, anti-Trump verbal diarrhea,
divisive, racist, misogynist,
maybe you should concentrate on, I don't know, Being an actor? You've already ruined your legacy by doing a relentless deluge of dreadful films. Now it looks like your sanity is starting to slip too.
He wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face.
Yeah, you look like a dollar store Gandalf who forgot to take his dementia meds. You ain't gonna be punching anybody, you stupid f***ing herb. And if you do punch someone, it should be your agent, because for the last 2 decades, your movie roles have been about as memorable as Hillary Clinton's election victory speech. It's also kind of ironic that back when you were in a good movie, Taxi Driver, 40 years ago, you played an unhinged lunatic who wanted to kill a politician, which is the very scenario your hysterical scaremongering about Trump might create in real life. Thanks to its maniacal obsession with delegitimizing Trump, the left has created plenty of potential Travis Bickles.
A tragic, dumb comedy.
Hey, De Niro, the only tragic, dumb comedy is you and your dying career. You reportedly told your wife, I wouldn't have to keep making movies if you didn't spend all my money. You're a fraud. You're a sellout. You're a washed-up has-been whose movies are as arduously dull as your cringe-worthy virtue signaling.
A tragic, dumb comedy. 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 A tragic, dumb comedy.
Robert De Niro, please, do us all a favor. Just retire already. And when it comes to politics,
shut the up!
How numerous are the White House leaks threatening the presidency of Donald J. Trump? Gateway Pundit has provided a list. Of course, many of these published leaks have yet to be corroborated, as they are lies created by desperate minions of the deep state. This all began with CNN reporting that James Comey had sought more resources for the Russia investigation. Those 2 sources were not identified, and the current director Rosenstein stated in a House probe that there was no evidence Comey asked for more resources for the Russia probe. The New York Times reported on May 11th that in a private dinner, Trump demanded loyalty from James Comey. The source, 2 people who heard Comey's account of the dinner who were never identified, and Trump denied this in an NBC interview. The Daily Beast reported on May 12th that the White House staff had reacted to a Trump tweet with Jesus. This from one official who was not identified, and it was not corroborated by anyone. On that same day, CNN reported that former FBI Director James Comey is not worried about any tapes of conversations between him and President Donald Trump. This was not corroborated by Comey, and a source familiar with the incident was not identified. ABC reported that Comey was furious at a lack of respect the White House had showed. This was again not corroborated by James Comey, and the sources were not identified. The Hill reported that the White House is in total chaos. This according to a transition team official who was never identified. And the message coming from mainstream media was never substantiated. And then the usual suspects began pouring it on. On May 15th, the Washington Post reported that Trump had revealed highly classified information to a Russian foreign minister and an ambassador. The sources, current and former U.S. officials, were never identified, and National Security Advisor McMaster stated that nothing was shared that was not already public. And the article in question made it abundantly clear that the president has the authority to declassify secrets. On the 16th, the New York Times reported that Trump had asked Comey to stop the Flynn investigation. The evidence, supposedly in a Comey memo, which was never provided or admittedly seen by the New York Times reporter. Comey had already testified on May 3rd that he had never been pressured by Trump to stop any investigation. On the 17th, the Washington Post reported that House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy says Putin pays Trump. This according to an audio recording that the Washington Post does not possess. And those present when Kevin McCarthy made the statement said he was only joking. May 19th, the Washington Post reported that a law enforcement investigation into possible coordination between Russia and the Trump campaign had identified a current White House official as a significant person of interest. The sources were never identified, and there were no legal implications at all. Also on May the 19th, the New York Times reported that Trump called Comey a nut job. The document summarizing the meeting that would have proven this statement was never provided, and Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov refuted claims that he even discussed Comey's dismissal with Trump. On May the 20th, CNN reported Comey now believes Trump was trying to influence him on his judgment about Russia probe. Source not identified and not corroborated by Comey. On the 22nd, the Washington Post reported that President Trump had asked two of the nation's top intelligence officials back in March to help him push back against an FBI investigation into possible coordination between his campaign and the Russian government. Those officials were never identified. Trump stated he did not ask Comey to end Russia investigation, and Obama's ex-CIA chief Brennan stated under oath that no evidence existed of the Trump or his team pressuring the intelligence community to stop the Flynn investigation. On May 23rd, The Intercept reported on a recent Philippine government transcript of a recent Trump-Duterte phone call. Unidentified sources at the palace and the Department of Foreign Affairs confirmed the legitimacy of the transcript, and there is nothing criminal on the phone call. Trump just praised the Philippine government for handling the drug problem in their country. On May 24th, the New York Times published images of the Manchester terrorist attack. The source was not identified, and the UK Prime Minister was outraged, disgusted by the fact that there was no regard for the investigation or for the victims' families. On May 26th, NBC reported that Jared Kushner and one of Trump's senior advisors had come under FBI scrutiny in the Russia investigation. Again, multiple U.S. officials were not identified, and the same article said that it doesn't mean they suspect him of a crime. And on May 26th, the Washington Post reported that Jared Kushner and the Russian ambassador were setting up back channels. The U.S. officials briefed on these intelligence reports were never identified, and of course, no crime was committed as back channels have been set up by previous presidents under the umbrella of foreign affairs. In the coming months, these leaks, with their illegitimacy, will come to haunt their authors rather than the president, and serve to remind these treasonous agents of the deep state where the power of the executive office truly exists. John Bound for Infowars.com.
You traitors claiming I'm a Ruski agent, say it to my face and I'll break your nose. I'm sick of it. I will stomp your head in the ground, you traitorous maggots. While we go under Obamacare, North American Union, conquered by European banks, announcing our kids don't belong to us, total bondage, total surveillance, and you want to shoot your mouth off about me being a Ruski agent, I will stomp your head in the ground.
Never water yourself down just because someone can't handle you at 100 proof. It's the Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
I wish we could go back to the days, I'm telling you, of just getting my satisfaction out in the street. You pick a sword or something else, you're going out in the street. I'm not kidding, you coward. Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You've got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139.
Well, the demise of the Democrats continue. The demise of the entire left continues, and President Trump really doesn't even have to do anything at all to combat them. They're doing it to themselves. And the most recent one, obviously, is Kathy Griffin holding a head or a fake head of a decapitated President Donald Trump. Now, it's being reported that Barron Trump actually saw this image while watching TV with his mother and was not aware that that was actually fake. And he saw the image of the despicable Kathy Griffin holding up the fake Trump head with blood on it, really disgusting imagery. And this must have seriously impacted Barron. He thought it was real. He didn't know what to do. Of course, I'm sure Melania said, don't worry, son, that's actually a mentally handicapped woman. That's not real. But still, it must have been a very traumatizing experience for the young Barron Trump to see that image of Kathy Griffin. So congratulations, Kathy Griffin. I guess you really never thought about the kids to begin with anyway. That's probably why you're 57, single, without a child. But that's none of my business. That might have something to do with your madness too. But how about Melania? You know, she had to go through this. She's gone through so much being married to President Donald Trump before he became president, after he's become president. And then she has to go through this with Barron Trump. But look at how classy she remains, yet edgy still with her response to Kathy Griffin. She says, as a mother, a wife, and a human being, that photo is very disturbing. When you consider some of the atrocities happening in the world today, a photo opportunity like this is simply wrong, and it makes you wonder about the mental health of the person who did it. Zing! Thank you, Melania Trump, for calling Kathy Griffin a mentally insane person, but doing it classy. And you have to say, if you were going to experience something like this, a fake Donald Trump bloody decapitated head, you would think that something like that would come from, I don't know, a terrorist group like ISIS or Al-Qaeda. No, it comes from the left wing of the political, I guess what you could say, Democrat wing of the political Overton window in the United States, which you look at Antifa, you look at Kathy Griffin, you kind of blurred those images. You might not notice the difference between ISIS and, in fact, the political left in America at all. They're doing things that are very similar to one another, but still Melania Trump keeping it classy with a very edgy response to the tasteless, not funny, really just absolutely despicable display by Kathy Griffin. And, you know, it's starting to have backlash. It is being reported that she is going to lose her spot with CNN. We'll see if that lasts. But how about this? ADT has now decided to pull ads from CNN. So I have to give a round of applause for ADT. You're a little late, but you finally came to the party. You realized CNN was fake news and despicable. So now ADT, I'm sure a major sponsor, major money there, is pulling their ads from CNN. And, you know, I got to give credit there's a lot of journalists out there that are doing what I fell short on, something I said I would do, and I just never really completed it. Putting a list together of all CNN's advertisers so that you know who they are, so that you can boycott them. Whether you watch CNN or not, I don't think it really matters. These people will continue to market on CNN. But now ADT is pulling their ads because of the despicable content put out by Kathy Lee Griffin. And if you start boycotting the companies that advertise on CNN, most of them are, you know, big pharmaceutical companies, then they might start to think about pulling back. So it's nice to see that one sponsor that advertises on CNN still has a spine, still has a brain, still has integrity, still has a moral conscience, and has decided to pull their ads from CNN. The rest of them, we still scratch our heads at. But you know what CNN really is, folks? To me, CNN is treason against this country. And I think most Americans would feel the same way. And a new poll from Rasmussen indicates this. 53% say media leaks are acts of treason. Now, these media leaks are coming from within the White House, probably anti-Trumpers inside the White House that are leaking things to the media, leaking things to failing publications like the New York Times and the Washington Post. And then these become echo chambers with MSNBC and CNN. But what you have to realize here is that Donald Trump probably feels like he can't trust anybody. He can't have a meeting. He can't have a conversation without leaks getting out. So really what you have is people inside of Donald Trump's administration that are trying to undermine it from within. I do think, or at least hope, that President Trump has a plan to weed out some of these leakers. I think he's smart enough to know how to do that. You send information one way, you send other information the other way, you see what makes it to the press. And I think he's done some of that. I think an example may have been the Joe Lieberman for the FBI director role. That's just my theory. But it's amazing to think about this, these leaks being considered an act of treason. How about Barack Obama spying on all of America? This isn't even debated. How about Barack Obama using the IRS to target conservatives? Again, not even debated. That is a flagrant act of treason against this country by the President of the United States. So nobody seemed to mind then. I don't remember a Rasmussen poll about treason then. But I guess in this modern day in America, treason is just normal, isn't it? It's just part and parcel of living in America, living in the free world, in this great republic, that we're going to have treasonous people inside the White House, treasonous people inside the media. And I don't know if we'll ever be able to stop this treason from happening. One thing that might stop it in the media is advertisers pulling their money. But you know what would stop it from people like Barack Obama being a treasonous president? Jail time. Yeah. Throw away the key, too. Speaking of the demise of the Democrats, boy, you could not write a worse story for yourself if you were Mayor de Blasio of New York City. And this is a guy who's written his own story and continues to write it. Let's just go over a brief timeline of events from the last 5 days in Mayor de Blasio's life. It starts on Friday. Mayor de Blasio employee arrested for child pornography. Folks, this was not just a happenstance. This was not just a mistake. This filth, who was considered a leading young Democrat, working his way up the Democratic Party. I don't know, maybe the next Robbie Mook, maybe the next John Podesta, wink, wink. But this guy gets busted, has thousands of images and 89 videos of child porn, including infants, folks. Jacob Schwartz should already be in jail, locked up, thrown away the key. They're saying he's in counseling. This guy should be, look, I mean, it's just, honestly, he should probably have nothing but his head exposed in the sand, and then you treat him like you would maybe 200 years ago, 500 years ago. But nonetheless, this is Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, and he's employing a pedophile. But it just gets worse for Mayor de Blasio, doesn't it? Now he's decided he's going to align himself with Linda Sarsour. So who is Linda Sarsour? Well, you can look into that for yourself, but she's pro-Sharia law, which basically gives women no freedoms. And you know what Mayor de Blasio has decided to do? He's decided to sabotage a pro-America protest and stand up for Linda Sarsour and her affiliates. And now he's going to give her $500,000. $500,000, folks. I've been to New York City. There's homeless New York American citizens in the streets. De Blasio bats an eye at that and gives $500,000 to Linda Sarsour, a pro-Sharia law agent. Disgusting. Oh, but it doesn't end there. There's more from Mayor de Blasio. He has now confirmed and is proud of the fact that he is going to march in a parade that is honoring a terrorist, folks. You could not even write this up if you were trying to smear de Blasio, and he does it to himself. This is an event, Lopez Rivera, a known terrorist, he's going to march with it. The police department has removed itself. A bunch of advertisers have removed themselves because it's so despicable. And now more Democrat debauchery. Huma Abedin has invited Anthony Weiner, another pedophile, back into her home. Can you believe that, folks? The Democrats are a complete joke, a bunch of losers, and now even pedophiles. Thanks for tuning into the Infowars Nightly News. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality Infowars Biome Defense Probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high quality known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your Biome Defense in ultra strength or regular strength at InfoWarsLife.com today and get started supporting your digestive system naturally. We've been testing this formula for years, but this is the limited first run to the public, so please take advantage of it today. Support your own health and support the InfoWar.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. Today is Wednesday, May 31st, 2017. I'm Millie Weaver, and here's what's coming up on the news tonight.
Tonight, in the demise of the Democrat saga, the backlash for the despicable Kathy Griffin display has taken a bad turn for CNN and the left, as she is now out at the Clinton News Network. Also, a massive bombing takes place in Afghanistan, killing journalists as the